Hey everybody, welcome to Friday, and yeah, hope you've had a great weekend getting ready for Christmas and New Year. So this will be the last quick one pumping out before I go on a Christmas break, and then yeah, it'll probably be once I'm back and catch up. Hopefully by end of January, I will get back my silly little face back on this and updating what's happening in the land of low friction. Alrighty, today good news for my video length. I don't have too much time to record, and I've had no time to prep, but I wanted to just do a quick end of year wrap before I zoomed off on a little bit of a break. So there'll be a bunch of stuff I will forget in my quick recording here today, but we'll love to hear some of your thoughts and inputs over the holidays as well on where you think things might be going in the land of lubrication and drivetrains. See what we can predict that might come true next year or the next couple of years. But quick few things on this year just gone. Firstly, of course, big thank you to everyone for your support, both on the ZFC retail side and also on my YouTube channel. We're still obviously very small because I'm a strange, weird, boring guy talking about bicycle chain lubrication. But overall, yeah, it's just another excellent year. It's been another really fun year. So yeah, I really have not known how long I will do this from when I started it. I'm going to, I guess the plan is to keep going for as long as A, I'm having fun, and B, that I'm feeling like I'm able to make a positive contribution to the cycling world in this space, and to help save as many drivetrains as we can from an early death by abrasion. But obviously I couldn't, or ZFC couldn't exist without your support. So thank you for allowing the work that we're doing to keep on being able to be done. And also obviously thank you to those who have been supporting after our first actual real malicious attack. Obviously we're going to have everybody on YouTube. It's just the way of the world. It doesn't matter who is doing what out there and how well focused and well meaning it is. You're going to have some people, for some whatever reason drives them, attack anything. And there's a lot of people these days that have never met a conspiracy they didn't like, or just love to try to copy others on crapping on absolutely everything they can and do their own best rants and reamings. And I can play an example of a recent one I came across perhaps as well. But our first, I guess, actual attack by someone who unfortunately is intelligent, because that enables them to plan their attack better. And unfortunately they lack something else that we would really love to see in the world, which is honesty and integrity. So from that, absolutely. And again, I think it's just the most embarrassing document from an engineering front I've seen, that the attack by Hambini against ZFC. We've done the initial response back, which was just to cover off all those points. And I know there's I guess a fair spectrum of feelings with regards to all of that, from I wish I wasn't responding at all, to I get it, but it's too long and boring, to I get that, yeah, it's important to counter every single point so that there really is no room to for anyone who's actually interested in facts, truth, and honesty and integrity. It's all there if one wants to look. Since that initial response, which I wanted to get done at the time, I've been chipping away on a much more considered response, which is going to just really slam dunk prove a whole bunch of things beyond any doubt. And I think somebody who has built up an entire empire where the foundation is, utter dishonesty, that will hopefully be a first domino in that once we start to sort of re-pick that up in the spare spots between stuff next year. Anyway, that ramble segment was just a lead into me saying thank you specifically for those that have supported myself and ZFC in the pushback, because the pushback, I am very passionate that these things need to be fought against properly, because it's just too big a problem in the world where just utter dishonesty and bullying, and at the end of the day fooling a lot of good people who good people are supporting, at the end of the day, very easily proven bad people. We need to try to turn that ship around a bit. Now, I don't know if I'll have any meaningful impact on that front, but I just am extremely passionate that we need to try, and obviously support that helps, that really means a lot. So at the end of the day, we've got somebody who's being held up as this sort of important little hero in the space, holding truth to power and so on. You're not holding truth to anything if you're just making shit up about people and companies and products and businesses that, for one reason or another got on, his shit list. So showing up this person for, just even in one small example, categorically how they have been utterly dishonest and for a very shonky reason. That's going to be my one small step, and so I will, do my best on that in my more considered response next year. Right, and then to round out thank yous, as always, thank you to my awesome retail manager Andrew for getting the orders out to people, because that's pretty important. And to my super awesome website lady Jill, who, to say ZFC would not be an operating concern without the IT support of Jill is certainly an understatement. And lastly, as always, a huge thanks to my wonderful wife, because without her allowing me to spend this much time on a silly hobby business, which at the end of the day just brings in some pocket money, instead of me having a real job that earns real money, it's important that she is happy that I'm able to do this, and that we're doing this for the right reasons. A big part of it is that, purpose. We're doing something good in a space that I love, in the world of cycling, that can make a real positive difference to cyclists by saving hundreds to potentially over $1,000 a year, and holding some manufacturers to account who are making some terrible stuff, as well as holding up in lights manufacturers who are bringing great things to the market. So I feel very privileged that I'm allowed to play with this hobby business. It's something that I enjoy, and that I've got the financial freedom, or we have the financial freedom for me to be able to play with this little thing called ZFC. Alrighty, last year I did a video for the Shonky Awards and then also the Awesomeness Awards. This year I'm going to just screen through a bit of a sort of a naughty and nice list with a few things that are rattling around top of my mind. First one, I think really for me, the standout one of concern this year really is the Finish Line Halo products. Initially I was quite excited when I saw that Finish Line were jumping into, bringing out an immersive wax and a proper wax emulsion drip. A concern of mine for a long time has been that really Finish Line might have been relying on their legacy brand name, and that potentially their products haven't seen any actual updates or R&D for 2 or 3 decades. Just not only on my control test results, but just in general in terms of what you see, or what I've ever seen with somebody using a Finish Line product and how many kilometers they've attained for the chain wear rate. I've just not seen anything that I am happy with, to say the least. So I've always wanted them to do better, because they're a big name brand that gets sold a lot from a lot of bike stores, and they're one of the ones that I hold at this stage as being responsible for the early deaths of probably countless drivetrains really now. If they have better products, that's going to just help so many people. So I was quite excited, but that excitement was somewhat tempered by the one specific marketing claim, which, if you recall, is that it contains micron-sized tungsten spheres that also are, strong enough or hard enough to remain hollow. So they're hollow for reducing chain vibration. That's a whole other subject we'll go into in the detail review. And they're able to remain spherical and hollow under the enormous pressures that literally go into the thousands of PSI under your pedaling load. How do you have micron-sized particles that are that hard not be abrasive? Obviously was the concern. And then in the initial test for the wax and the wax drip, we have by far the highest wear rates ever seen. Wear rates that are, frankly, they should not be possible. The only way that they would be possible is if there is something very abrasive in the lubricant. So this really became, I think, the first time in my these sort of 8.5 years of doing this that, I mean, normally when I'm testing a product and we're looking at what the manufacturer is claiming for that product, usually the concern is just like, oh, we've got some pretty big fanciful claims here, and I think the product is going to have a tough time living up to those claims. This really is the first time that I'm actually concerned that what a manufacturer claims they've put in the product might actually be in the product. So that's been really quite something. Unfortunately, the initial call I had with Finish Line, they were great to talk to, but despite that, at the end of like an hour of talking around this, I could not get any understanding as to, you know, how we could have these micron-size particles that are, again, hard enough, strong enough to remain spherical and hollow under those pressures, you know, not be abrasive. It's just not the path that anybody else goes down. Obviously, when other manufacturers are adding tungsten disulfide into their lubricant, it is soft platelets that are there to fill in the asperities of the metal and create a low friction coating. They're not putting really hard, tiny particles in. So the whole thing's, I guess, one, it's fascinating, but two, I just have extreme concerns about as these products, you know, gain more market sales from you know, greater market penetration and the marketing efforts that Finish Line will be doing as to potentially how many drivetrains are going to see a really early death by abrasion. Only very small feedback so far from the world. I think it's only been 3 that have written in over time saying that they've used the Finish Line immersive wax. All 3 so far, it has been a very early death for the chain. So we're talking 750 to 1,000 kilometers. They've checked the chain wear and the chain is done. So it's a very small anecdotal number. However, the small number that we do have is kind of in line with the control testing here. Obviously, because the wear rates were so bad, or the testing was so bad, I do need to retest. I do have a new bag of Finish Line Halo wax that I've purchased, and also the wax strip. And I'll be aiming to retest those over the holidays because the actual test machines are again now so booked that my holidays is about the only time I'm going to be able to get that done. So I'll get that redone, and I will be reporting back next year. I'll be obviously the next stage apart from the retest will be to try again to re-establish communication with Finish Line, see if we can get any input from them as to what might be going on. And from there, it'll just be the full detail review, as well as asking anyone who is using either any really of the Finish Line Halo products to please let me know how that's been going for you. All right, next I think I might mention Cade Media, because the first time that I had to do a correction on their really, really poor chain lubrication advice, it was kind of like, you know, it happens, and sort of part of my focus is to try to ensure the best information out there, and so I want to correct, especially media that's got a pretty big audience, and potentially a lot of people are going to follow that advice and have a worse outcome for their drivetrain and running costs. The second time, to me, it seems like, and I hope I'm wrong here, but it really does seem like the mechanic, just for his own pleasure, for whatever reason he gets pleasure from this, is deliberately obstinate and incorrect about both wax lubes and immersive waxing, because he's got some strange kick out of just hanging crap on both of those that they don't work. And he's very deliberately not ever wishing to update or revisit that knowledge that he has around chain lubrication. So the chain lubrication knowledge that he has today is probably the same chain lubrication knowledge that he had 20 years ago. And in 50 years' time, if he's still kicking around, his chain lubrication knowledge is going to be exactly the same as it is at this moment. It is just not being updated or receptive for any information in this space. What's going on? Why is there a massive trend towards both immersive waxing and wax strip lubricants? What makes a good bicycle chain lubricant potentially the one that remains actually lubricating and resists becoming abrasive, for which wax drips and immersive wax just have such a huge advantage? And immersive waxing obviously with the advantage that each time you re-wax, you reset whatever small amount has managed to get in there. these simple, basic, very obvious advantages as to what make it so hard for wet lubricants to, compete over time with immersive waxing and top wax strips. Why, oh why, oh why, is he being deliberately obstinate against them? I don't understand at this stage what is sitting behind his repeated misinformation on this front. Cade Media are, at the end of the day, a fairly big channel in cycling, and they, because of that, they have the opportunity, and I'm sure that, Francis and I believe it's Emily would really overall wish that their channel is having a positive difference to their audience, and that when the audience follows their advice, that means good things for them. And I'm sure that if they knew that following their channel's advice would lead to higher running costs and just at the end of the day, earlier deaths of more drivetrains, that negative outcome is not something that they would be comfortable with. So to that end, when you've got a big channel and you can have a big impact to a lot of people, materially to their physical running costs, and just the lifespans of components that we want, for a bunch of reasons, including just resources and shipping crap all around the world and so on. Let's have our wonderful drivetrain components last as long as possible, especially when that's really easy to achieve that with just a little bit of knowledge. At this stage, they just have to stop their actual resident mechanic from talking about chain lubrication, or someone's got to drag this guy into watch some other channels' videos on waxing wax strips and just get the basics. And that would be amazing if we can do that in 2025. Next is still sadly, I think they'll perennially be on the naughty list, is Muc-Off. Really, it's from a couple of pronged, well, it's really, let's say, a trident of reasons. One, we still got the whole issue with their testing being, in my opinion, deliberately done incorrectly to show their products to be amazing and key competitors to be terrible. The reason, or I guess the process that they have to have in place to deliberately test incorrectly means that at this stage they can't release a wax lubricant because then their wax lubricants would also test poorly unless they can find a wax base that is okay with also being tested incorrectly under basically what's called full tension test protocol. If you want a deep dive on that, watch the Muc-Off Files Part 2. Don't worry about Part 1. I am a rambling, incoherent mess. So they've got products which are proven to be, by them, awesome due to, in my opinion, deliberately fudged testing. Is prong 1. Prong 2 is obviously these, it wouldn't be so bad if these products were actually awesome in real life, despite fudged testing. But sadly, the base that they use or seem to be using for a lot of their product range to be able to, I guess, participate in the fudge testing and do well is a base that just gathers contamination and becomes abrasive like few others. So unlike lubricants that include the abrasiveness as just what you pay for, such as potentially Finish Line Halo, Muc-Offs seem to start. Like if you just rode in a clean lab, they might be super, but you take them outside and they just seem to become quite abrasive quite quickly. And that you don't have to look far for a Muc-Off user to say, hey, wow, did my chain become so dirty so quickly, I don't want to use that again. And what we also really need is for people to start actually checking their chain wear rates versus kilometers, because if we just had even 25% of cyclists in the world actually do that, so many products would not exist, because they would just be so established by, the world as, wow, will they eat your chain? So yeah, the prong number 2 is sadly, the base from the likely needed to fudge the testing just is not great in real life. Prong number 3 is that obviously they've got the marketing power. They've got the money to spend to just blast their way out there in the world. Huge penetration into bike stores. They're I have had emails from some bike stores in some countries where it seems to be the setup that if they stock exclusively Muc-Off, they get 70% margin on all Muc-Off products, so lubes and cleaning products and all the other gazillion things that they sell. And for a lot of bike stores, they won't have seen ZFC work or be bothered to take the time to listen to my rambling. They will just think it's a win-win. I'm selling what appears to be an awesome product for my customers, and I get industry-leading margins in the space for me as a bike store to help keep the lights on and pay wages. So it's a very clever marketing strategy that they employ, and gives them overall, they have that huge penetration globally as well as obviously online, Instagram, social media. They can just go out and smash it on all fronts. Meanwhile, you've got actually awesome products, but from much smaller manufacturers that have spent a huge percentage of their sort of revenue or capital that they have spare to develop that product and get it out there, that is struggling to find a spot on bike stores' shelves. And it's a product that would actually be great for the customer and the cyclist as opposed to what they're unfortunately being sold. You also have to wonder how can they offer those margins? Is it just a volume thing, or is it potentially also that these products cost a lot less to make, that they can sell them wholesale for very cheap and still make enough money to cover their millions of dollars a year in marketing costs, and have also the retailer make industry-leading margins in the gap between the wholesale price and the retail price? Could give you some potential pause for thought on what the net cost of this particular product brand lineup might be. Now, it is very unlike Muc-Off not to jump on any possible market trend and slam out a product to try to jump on the coattails of that trend. They are usually, I think they were probably the first to bring out an e-bike specific cleaner, for instance, or cleaning products. Multiply that across 50 market segment fronts. If they think that the market might be looking for a product in a space, they're going to have one out there. So why don't Muc-Off have a wax strip or an immersive wax? So as we covered in one of the other prongs, I think first they're either going to have to figure out or get a wax base that they can continue their current, deliberately, in my opinion, fudged testing, or they're going to have to ditch their current testing and move to a new way of testing stuff, including a wax product that shows them as being awesome and their competitors having some conniption after 18 minutes only on the test machine. That challenge, I think, is taking them quite a while, and is why we haven't seen them jump on this very big, very, very big market trend towards immersive wax and wax strips in a space like chain lubrication that Muc-Off are very well known for. They've been sticking with this stuff that becomes a black abrasive sludge in very short order for a surprisingly long time without stepping into the segment that we'd expect them to go into. So place your bets. Will 2025 be the year that Muc-Off bring out either a wax emulsion drip lubricant or an immersive wax? And will that see an accompanying change in how they conduct their testing? That's going to be interesting. And lastly, for the naughty list, I think for me, it's just the cranks and the nut jobs that are out there in the world. Still, thankfully, overall, I get less than I have expected of people really piling on in the comments. We thankfully have a overall very respectful, very thoughtful comment section, and that is great. And that is the obviously I want the comments to be a safe place, and also a non-whack job space. I do give, and I have given a lot of people a lot of leeway, but we have had to block some this year because the level of just utter rubbish that they continue to pump in, it's just quite beyond. And some of them are just, they're so lost down the river of utter illogical BS with their own crazy agendas. You're never getting them back, and so it's just a black hole of time to try to help steer them back just towards the most basic of logic. Some have their own channels, which especially I guess the since the Hambini attack, they sort of gave them license to try to pile on. And then apart from what you look at what they type, and then you look at what they put on their own channels, and it's just like, oh, I don't know how people have a functioning life of, say, potentially actually working a job and maybe having a family. How do people operate like they're operating online and actually just like live life? It's a constant fascination for me. But the thing that really gets me still is at the end of the day, the information on things, it is at our fingertips. All you have to do is just have that little bit of balance in your mindset to assess information and arrive at a place that's not completely off the wall nuts. Some of it, so yeah, I'll give one quick example that just comes to mind from one on the first Hambini reply video I did. One of the commenters was like, hey, you show me the guy who's got their certificate as an engineer, and I will show you who is right. And I sort of replied back along the lines of, well, people in any job can be either awesome at it or crap at it, and people in any job, qualified or regardless of their qualifications, can make mistakes or sometimes be, dishonestly incorrect. And it's like, no, 100% of the time, if the person is an engineer, they are correct. There's basically saying there's never been a time when an engineer has been incorrect. Obviously sticking up for, in this case, Hambini. But, I mean, if this person is a fan of Hambini, will have seen countless times of where what Hambini is reaming the crap out of is the work of other engineers. So in those instances, some engineer has had to have been incorrect. Like how do these little logic fails that are just so smack you in the face just not compute? And that's one of the tamer examples of some of the ones much more whack job than that are some of the people and channels that I've unfortunately had to block this year. But overall, to me, I think about the biggest problem in the world, apart from dishonesty and corruption, is the fact that as a species we seem to be unable to discern good information from obviously bad information from obviously bad people, and people just end up on all sorts of conspiracies and bad echo chambers, and just the level of crackpot whack job out there seems to be ever increasing, and it's a fairly exciting world to be living in online. So I have no idea what the answer to that is, because obviously we come up against just this at a very, very small scale in a small niche focus in the cycling industry. But obviously I live in the world like everyone, and you see what's going on in the world. And as a wider issue, the fact that that we do have all the knowledge out there at our fingertips, and yet so many people end up down some very strange paths and ending up on thought trains and conspiracies for practically everything, and it just makes it so hard for any good work to be done. And also just in my view, I guess the whole thing with this anti-science, there's so much stuff now that is really going against established science, and science that is, you can go into the detail and easily understand why we are at a place in our current knowledge on X topic based on all the years of science before it. And when a lot of that is just thrown out for some whack job conspiracy, at the end of the day, we are becoming anti-knowledge. Knowledge and actual facts don't seem to matter or exist anymore. That there's even just stating something that is an actual fact, it is almost like it's an oxymoron now, because people will contest literally anything, no matter what is put in front of them. So, as a species trending down a path of being anti-knowledge, I worry that is a grand path for us overall. And yep, we certainly see the fun times of that in a little microcosm on this channel. I would just say that, I mean, unfortunately, obviously, we've got the likes of Saya Hambini that is going to fool a lot of genuinely good people who have genuinely great working brains and generally don't get sucked down strange rabbit holes into weird conspiracies. They are going to believe what's being presented to them as honest, factual, engineering information, shooting down or reaming X-person product. And I am sure that in amongst all the stuff there is that occurring. The trouble is there's a lot of times when that isn't the case. And I'm a clear example of that, but I am far from alone. And so good people end up supporting bad stuff who would normally not be so. But for the ones that literally will be drawn into anything of just bullying and hate and reamings, and no matter what is presented to you counter to what you want to believe, you are not going to ever shift. That is not a great place for us as a species to be going down that path. So you're being part of I think, what's the most serious problem that we face, because good things just can't get done. The point of that rambling, just evaluate things on their merits. When you are presented with information that is counter to what you want to believe because someone's your guy, or this is your party, or you don't want to face hard truths on X particular topic, you're being part of a really big problem. Have the moral spine and the intellectual spine to face information on its merits, if you're being presented with something counter that's valid. And if you have to make a hard sort of mental shift based on that, be able to do so, because when we can't live in a world where something as simple as an actual objective fact exists, that every single thing can be contested on, well, this was what he said, or this is an opinion, and that's what the other person said, and that's their opinion. There are times, obviously, when that is very relevant, and there are times when we just need to establish an actual truth. And we seem to be trending away from that a lot. And I think it's because I'm obviously as a father, and you're bringing up a new human in the world, and you worry about the world that they're going into in the future, when the trend over the last 5 to 10 years has been just from a pure facts and knowledge front and science and understanding. Things just seem to have become really, really worrying. And I don't know how we get it back, but if you can be part of bringing things back instead of making things worse, please be that person. So end of the story. Don't be a wackadoodle, please. And if you've been a bit of a wackadoodle, come back. The world needs you to be able to just actually evaluate things on merits, not feels. And let's go. Okay, nice less time, I think, instead of my strange ramblings on where the world's going. All right, I reckon I will put at this stage just an overall, continuing trend for better chain lubrication focus. So there's still the trend towards immersive waxing, and wax top wax strips has been very strong. And whilst I guess they are a specific company in the space, so I don't want to be shilling for any one particular company over another as such, because I know we'll obviously highly recommend Molten Speed Wax, because their product has been a brilliant product, and it gets updated. But they've been at the forefront of saving your drivetrain for well over a decade. Obviously, Rex have done a lot of great work stepping into the space. On the wax strip front, we have the likes of Effetto Mariposa, and they're very environmentally friendly and still lowest wear drip lubricant ever tested with their flower power wax. So not to sort of put this one above the others, but I have to give a nod to, again, Silca, just from the amount of, I guess, education that they are doing. It's also obviously marketing, so it's got a strong sales component to it, of course. But that's what has to happen when you need to sell stuff as well to be a going concern. But at least they actually put the revenue, or both the financial capital and the human capital, into bringing great products out to the market, and then educating the market as to why these products are great. And even if people don't go with the Silca products, they at least know more about why immersive waxing and wax strips are, becoming such a dominant sort of, product segment in this product category. So pushing new frontiers in this space, such as their speed chip and endurance chip. Now, I haven't tested those yet, so I don't know whether they are all that in a bag of chips or not. But just opening up that, era of wax tuning just gains more conversation in the space, more exposure in the space. It's just driving more people into the immersive wax and wax strip space than may have, sort of otherwise opted in before. So I'm giving a nice big tick again to Silca just from the overall exposure and education front in the bicycle chain lubrication space. Really more, at least as or as much as the actual bringing great products to market themselves. Next one I'm going to mention on the nice list, I'll say Cyclowax for pushing again some frontiers in the chain lubrication and waxing space with their Keep Your Chain on Your Bike chain waxing machine. I don't believe that is out for commercial sale yet. I might try to double check that. And obviously credit at this stage to Bike Radar and Simon von Bromley for this image, because I didn't have one direct from Cyclowax at the moment. I have had a good chat to them about this machine though on one of our catch-up calls. I've actually been testing a bunch of stuff over time for Cyclowax, and I think next year we'll actually have some open results from the testing be able to be put up. But the way this works is quite innovative. So you don't have like a big wax pot in here. They're using basically a little wax tablet so that you put in there. So it's like a sort of a small number of grams of a wax tablet that you pop in for each chain re-wax, which is so it heats that up, heats the chain up to apply that, and it's about a 30-minute process to do say your average road chain. Whether or not this will get any widespread adoption or take up outside of, say, a pro peloton or even within the pro peloton, we don't know. It's really early days. I just really like that they are actually giving this a go, because again, this is no small investment for a small company in the wax space to have the guts to try and see if something like this is going to be a good option for some, takes away anyone's concerns with taking chains on and off, master link reuse, things like that. So pretty cool what they're doing, and I hope that they have some success. See, I haven't talked too much yet about Cyclowax, because overall their, I guess, sort of product distribution is fairly Europe focused, so it's not a massive sort of global distribution and penetration yet. So the overall interest level from around the world is lower than for obviously some other brands that have that dialed for a while. But I have been dealing with them just with regards to a bunch of testing, as well as other catch-ups for some years now, and they really are a highly customer-focused brand and company. They've been working really hard for a long time to deliver stuff that's actually pretty awesome out there on the market. So I am always in support of new manufacturers in this space coming to market that have that as their focus. So I hope we'll continue to see expansion and more good stuff from Cyclowax, and we'll see if we get to talk a bit deeper next year on some of the things they've been doing. And before I run way too long, I'll wrap the nice list with still, I think similar to last year, the top media that I've seen in the space, and apologies if I've missed you. Please highlight to me if I have, so that I can become more aware of the stuff you've done. But Mike said Road CC, Simon von Bromley, Bike Radar have been excellent in the media space on educating people well about bicycle chain lubrication. And obviously, also as always, Escape Collective. We did have the sort of the fun correction with some of the information about immersive waxing there at one stage, but then that's already moving back to normal pastures with awesome advice around chain waxing and lubrication. And I think there'll be a bit more coming out on that fairly soon. So again, to the cycling media that are actually putting the time in to educate their audience properly on how to just really save so much avoidable wear to your drivetrain, thank you for helping the efforts in this space, because I know it's just this, sort of, bicycle chain lubrication, how exciting can it be? But there's not much really in cycling where that one little choice can have such a physical impact to your wallet and the dollars in your bank account, because the difference between the top performing products and the worst performing products is just so massive. It is literally multiple times the wear rates between the top versus the poor. Potentially the 5 to 10 times greater wear rates for the worst known lubricants versus the top. And a lot of the worst known lubricants are, sadly, some of the ones that are frequently promoted by publications that don't know better. And yeah, with the cost of parts these days on especially higher end builds, it is such a big difference to how long your lovely parts are going to last, and the time gap between when you may need to shell out a whole lot more money to replace them. So yeah, as always, thank you to the media that are doing actually great job with actually researched knowledge that helps their audience, as opposed to pumping out stuff that is going to recommend people to buy things that will just eat through their chain and drivetrain. Alrighty, I am out of record time, so I better wrap. And yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on any trends and predictions for the bicycle sort of chain lubrication space, chains, drivetrain. I'd love to know what you're thinking might come out next year, or any trends we might see. And also, if you're making this video, who would be on your naughty list and nice list, and why? It'd be really interesting to see, from a lot of people's actual experiences and perspectives out there, who would make what list, and the reasons behind it. And yeah, aside from that, again, thanks for all the support this year. I will work hard to try to make 2025 better on a number of fronts from ZFC. And yeah, have a great Christmas and New Year's. Get some excellent cycling in and stay safe. And also, hopefully you'll get some cool cycling presents, even if you have to purchase them yourself, which is one of my favorite pastimes. Okay, till the next one. Hopefully I'll be back on by about sort of late January. But in between that, I look forward to chatting with you where I can. Okay, have a great one, everyone. Bye.